You are far stronger than you think, but you'll never know that strength if you keep playing safe. The truth is harsh. The 20s are not a vacation, they are a test. And if you don't push yourself now, life will do it for you later, and not kindly. This is not the era of your life for comfort. It is the decade where your character is forged. The decisions you make now will echo into your 30s, 40s, and beyond. If you do not push yourself past your limits now, while you still have time, energy, and fewer obligations, you are gambling with your future self's potential. Most people wait until life forces them to grow, but real transformation comes when you choose struggle, not avoid it. Do the hard thing before you're ready. Take on the challenge before you feel prepared. By seeking responsibility, by enduring voluntary hardship, you develop the strength of character that others spend decades trying to find. If you deliberately confront what is difficult, you become someone who can handle difficulty. Your habits will either make you unstoppable or invisible. Your 20s are a war between chaos and order. Discipline, waking up early, keeping promises to yourself, training your mind and body creates a structure that allows your potential to flourish. Without it, you're just potential energy with no direction. Freedom is not the absence of discipline. Freedom is what discipline produces. Comfort is seductive and deadly. Scrolling, sleeping in, distractions, they're all easy escapes from the pressure of growth. But comfort never builds competence. Competence is forged in effort, failure, and repetition. Become dangerously good at something. That's what will build confidence, not affirmation or validation. If you want to be confident, first be competent. There are no shortcuts. If you don't sort yourself out, your emotions, your habits, your fears, they will run your life. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. Use your 20s to get your house in order. Understand yourself deeply. Work through your shadows. Aim at something meaningful and fight for it every single day. The enemy is not out there. The enemy is the part of you that refuses to grow. You get one shot at your 20s. Just one. Use it to build yourself into someone you respect, someone the world needs. You will not discover who you are by staying where you are. You must go to war with your limitations, break past the boundary of who you were yesterday, and become someone formidable. So push yourself, not because life is easy, but because you are capable of more. Most people coast through their 20s thinking they have time to figure things out, to relax, to avoid the hard things. They believe that struggle is something to be postponed or escaped, not something to be embraced. But that belief is a trap. The truth is this: growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you put yourself in situations that demand more from you than you think you can give. Voluntary struggle, choosing the uphill path, walking directly into challenge, that is the crucible where real strength is forged. When you deliberately choose discomfort, you discover who you really are. Because in that space where your body is tired, your mind is doubting, and your emotions are pulling you toward the exit, that is where you confront the edge of your limitations. And what you find, if you stay there long enough, is that those limits are often imaginary. They are constructs built by fear, laziness, and the voices of others who settled. And once you break through one limit, you realize it was never real. Then the process repeats. You chase new limits and you break those too. This is how transformation works, not in comfort, but in conscious, chosen struggle. Imagine the person who takes the easy road, who waits until they're ready, who avoids pressure. That person grows slower, becomes fragile, and ends up bitter because life eventually throws challenges at them anyway, and they're unprepared. Contrast that with the person who seeks difficulty, who trains their mind and body daily, who signs up for responsibility they're not yet qualified for and figures it out under pressure. That person becomes dangerous in the best way possible. They are resilient, adaptable, and powerful. There is something deeply psychological about voluntary hardship. It's an act of sovereignty. When you willingly carry weight, you tell the world, I am capable of more. You don't wait for life to test you, you test yourself. You learn to sit with discomfort and still move forward, And that becomes your superpower, the ability to act in the presence of fear, doubt, fatigue, and resistance. That's not just grit, that's identity. You become someone who knows they can survive, even thrive in the fire. The great paradox is this: the more you suffer on purpose, the less you suffer by accident, because life isn't about avoiding the storm, it's about becoming the kind of person who walks through it with their head held high. And that kind of strength only comes from struggle you choose, not the kind that blindsides you. In your 20s, it's easy to believe that freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want, skipping the gym, sleeping in, putting things off, going out instead of staying focused. It feels good in the moment and it feels like control, but that's a lie. What looks like freedom is often just a slow surrender to chaos. Without discipline, your life becomes reactive instead of proactive. You don't lead your time leads you. And what starts as freedom turns into frustration, missed opportunities, unfulfilled goals, and a gnawing sense that you're falling behind. Discipline, on the other hand, feels like restriction at first, but it leads to real power. It's waking up early not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. It's keeping your word to yourself when no one else is watching. It's sitting down to study, to build, to improve, even when you're exhausted. Over time, those seemingly small decisions compound. They build trust not just from others, but within yourself. You become someone who follows through, someone who moves with intention, and in that space, something incredible happens. You unlock momentum. Most people want confidence, they want purpose, but they don't want the discipline required to earn it. They chase quick hits, motivation videos, dopamine spikes, fleeting validation, hoping it will carry them to success. But motivation fades, emotion is inconsistent, discipline is the anchor that keeps you on course when nothing else is working. It's the foundation that allows you to build a life of substance rather than scattered moments of inspiration. Your 20s are the perfect time to develop this discipline, not because it's easy, but because the stakes are lower. You have fewer responsibilities, fewer people depending on you, and more time to recover from mistakes. This is your training ground. Every time you choose structure over chaos, long-term reward over short-term comfort, you are laying bricks. Not just for your career, but for your character. You are building the person you will become when the weight of life gets heavier, and it will. Discipline is not about perfection. It's not about rigid routines or punishing yourself. It's about alignment. It's about living in a way that honors your highest goals, not your lowest impulses. And once you taste that kind of freedom, the kind that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself, you'll never want the fake version again. You'll see clearly that discipline isn't a cage, it's the key. We live in a world that worships comfort. Everywhere you turn, there are distractions built to keep you entertained, passive, and safe, algorithms that cater to your cravings, services that make life easier, messages that tell you to take it slow and be kind to yourself. And while there is value in rest and compassion, there is danger in allowing comfort to become your default. In your 20s, the seduction of ease is at its peak. But if you spend these critical years avoiding friction, you'll also avoid growth. And worse, you'll miss the chance to become someone truly capable. You don't become capable by staying in familiar territory. You don't build confidence by hiding from challenges. True confidence, the kind that can't be shaken by criticism or failure, is born from competence. When you become genuinely good at something hard, something valuable, something rare, you begin to stand differently. You carry yourself with quiet power because you know what you're capable of, and that kind of inner strength can't be bought, borrowed, or faked. It's earned, and it's earned through work. Becoming competent is not glamorous. It's repetition. It's frustration. It's hours alone doing something no one is clapping for, but this is exactly why it matters. Because every hour you spend developing skill is an hour spent building something no one can take from you. You become useful to your team, to your community, to your future self. And in a world filled with people looking for shortcuts, you become rare. There's a psychological shift that happens when you shift your focus from how you feel to how effective you are. Instead of asking, "Am I comfortable?" you start asking, "Am I capable of handling this?" And that one shift can change the entire trajectory of your life, because now you're not waiting for things to get easier, you're working to become stronger. You're not chasing validation, you're building value. That mindset is the difference between drifting and rising. In your 20s, you have the time and energy to build something exceptional. So choose a craft, a discipline, and a field and go deep. Don't dabble. Master something. Be relentless. Because once you've built real competence, you no longer need to chase opportunity. Opportunity comes looking for you, and comfort becomes something you earn, not something you hide inside. There is a truth most people avoid in their 20s. The chaos inside you does not disappear just because you ignore it. You may bury it under distractions, drown it in pleasure, or pretend it isn't there, but it always waits, and if you don't deal with it voluntarily, it will surface at the worst possible time in your relationships, your work, your mental health, your sense of identity. The longer you avoid confronting yourself, the louder that chaos becomes. Your 20s are not just a time to build skills and achieve goals. They are a time to look inward brutally and honestly. It's the time to examine your insecurities, your fears, your patterns of avoidance, to ask yourself, why do I keep procrastinating? Why do I chase attention instead of substance? Why do I fear failure more than mediocrity? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are necessary, because if you don't sort through the mess, it will dominate you. Not always visibly, not all at once, but slowly, silently. It will shape your choices. Chaos isn't just some dramatic crisis. It's the quiet erosion of discipline. It's the subtle drift from who you want to be. It's the self-deception that convinces you you're fine when you're actually stuck. And the only way to push past it is to face it head on. That means acknowledging your limitations, your bad habits, your resentments, and your weaknesses. It means cleaning your internal house, and it means doing it before the consequences become too great. This isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about becoming someone who can be trusted with responsibility, someone who isn't rattled by pressure, someone who has integrated their chaos instead of being ruled by it. And the only way to do that is through discipline, honesty, and consistent action toward a meaningful aim. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to take responsibility for what's within you. You may think you can outrun this inner chaos by achieving more, staying busy, or pushing forward. But the truth is, your external life can only grow as far as your internal world allows. If you are disorganized within, eventually it will leak into everything you do. That's why the real work, the most transformative work, begins on the inside. Use your 20s to confront yourself while you still have time and space to change, because the version of you that faces that chaos and overcomes it, that person is unstoppable. You are standing at the edge of the most critical decade of your life. Your 20s are not just a phase of exploration, they are the foundation upon which the rest of your life is built. This is the time when your habits, your values, and your identity take form, and while the world around you may tell you to relax, experiment, and find yourself, the truth is far more demanding. You do not stumble into greatness. You build it through struggle, sacrifice, and self-imposed challenge. If you don't push yourself now, you'll wake up one day wishing you had, and regret is far heavier than discipline. Everything you want, strength, respect, purpose, confidence, lies on the other side of resistance. That resistance may come in the form of fear, failure, fatigue, or doubt. But if you learn to push through it, not avoid it, you'll begin to discover who you really are. Each time you act when it would be easier not to, each time you choose structure over chaos, and each time you willingly carry the burden rather than drop it, you become someone more capable, someone more complete. You learn that the limits you once believed were fixed are only temporary lines waiting to be crossed. Understand this: the life you want will not simply fall into place. The opportunities you hope will arrive one day will only come if you become someone who can meet them with strength. That means developing discipline when no one is watching, building competence when no one is clapping, and facing your internal chaos when no one else even knows it's there. You must be willing to put yourself through the fire, not because suffering is noble, but because transformation is impossible without it. This is the time to lay the bricks of who you want to become. Do not waste it waiting to feel ready. So don't settle for the version of you that's safe, distracted, or just getting by. Push yourself. Push past your doubts. Push past your comfort. Push past your old story. The pain you embrace today becomes the strength you live with tomorrow. The sacrifices you make now become the power you wield later. The 20s are not for drifting, they are for building, not for waiting, but for becoming. And if you rise to that challenge, if you truly push yourself past your limits, you won't just change your life, you'll shape your destiny. Certainly, here's a thank you and goodbye note that fits well at the end of a speech or video designed for upload, polished, impactful, and professional. Thank you for taking the time to listen. If this message sparked something in you, if it challenged you, inspired you, or reminded you of who you're capable of becoming, then don't just move on. Reflect, apply, act, because nothing changes until you do. I'm deeply grateful for your attention and your willingness to confront the harder truths. You owe it to yourself to keep growing, to keep pushing, and to never settle for less than what you know is possible. Until next time, stay focused, stay disciplined, and keep pushing past your limits. Thank you and goodbye.